you what happened because I'm not even going to go there. Okay. We had such a fantastic conversation only to find out that we weren't even recording, but that's neither here nor there. Back in the building, I have my sister girlfriends. I have Jess and I have Yolanda. They will introduce themselves, but we're going to start this all over again. Dr. Bennett, take
Yes,
it
ma'am.
away. Take it away. Take it away again. Take
All
it away.
right. Hello, everyone. I am Dr. Yolanda Bennett. I am a wife, a mom, and a nana. I'm a grandmother to a beautiful 1 year old. And she is the heart of,
Mm.
she's everything. Let me just say that because I got that from Jess. She's
Yeah,
everything.
it's everything.
So, and I'm here to pay homage to my grandmother, Christine Jackson.
Okay.
Yes, that's why I'm here.
All right. So tell us a little bit about Christine and why you chose to honor her today.
Well, Christine Jackson is, or was, I should say, and I say is only because she lives, she still lives very much in my soul, my heart, my
Amen.
mind, and
Amen.
everything that I do. Uh,
Amen.
but she was this wonderful, wonderful, gentle woman. But you ain't play with Christine, though. You ain't play with her,
Hmm.
though.
Hmm.
And the things that she taught me, or the reason why, is because she influenced every fiber of my being. I still have my mother. My mother is still alive. I love her. And my mother has taught me to be a woman, hands down. But my grandmother gave me that extra, and that's the extra that I want to honor, and I want everybody to know about because that meant everything to me. And so, and I think I shared this with Chef Jess. I said, if I could just be half the woman that my grandmother was, oh my God, the world would, I would feel so much. I would feel honored, because she gave me that. She gave me that. And it was a blessing to be able to have that. Now we're gonna talk about her cooking and all that, but just the gentleness and being strong. My grandmother was not a small woman by no means.
No.
And so, but she carried herself very gracefully and she was classy. And
Mhm.
so that is something that I just hold dear to my heart. I know how to be classy. Know how to be. There was always that bit of I call it bling. My grandmother always had that bit of bling about herself. And
Mhm.
so that's something that I definitely am just like my grandmother. And my mother says that. My mother says that I am more like my grandmother than I am like her. And she
Really?
always says, yeah, she always says that. But I stay with my grandmother. I've never not lived with my grandparents. My grandparents lived about 2 minutes from where we lived.
Hmm.
And so I was always at my grandparents' house. So my grandmother had a lot of influence, excuse me, a lot of influence over me. And my mother says that she could see that. She sees that in me even now. She's like, that's something your grandmother would do. Your grandmother would do.
Hmm.
Your grandmother cook all that. We used to cook all that food like that.
Hmm.
Like entertain like that. And so, and to me, that's an honor. That's
It
just
is an honor.
yeah, yeah.
What were some life lessons, phrases that she spoke to you about, or things that you guys did together that helped mold you into the person that you are today?
Right. Well, you know what? And I'm glad you asked that. And I was thinking about this when before, when we got cut off. Um, some of the life lessons I just have my grandmother always called me sweet child. And it wasn't child, it was sweet child.
Hmm.
So I was always her sweet child. Now I don't know what she called the other grandkids. I don't know. And
Right.
I
Right.
love my cousins too, but
Right.
I just knew I was sweet child. So I call my grandbaby my sugar plum. She is my sugar plum. And Chef Jess, I just got off the phone. I called them while we said we are a
You
mess.
guys are nuts. A
We're a
mess.
mess. We're a mess. We're a mess. I shared the story of the two eggs with my daughter to tell her. She was like, Lord. I
This
said, but
woman is
wait a
out of
minute.
control.
I said,
You
but
out of
wait a
control.
minute.
That's what she's
Right.
saying.
I said, but wait a minute. You are a mother. You got a daughter. So your eggs, those eggs you care. Hey,
Yeah.
and
It's a
so
win-win situation for everybody.
but we a mess. I ain't gonna lie, we're a
Yeah.
mess.
Encourage.
but But here's the thing. The reason why we are a mess, Carla, is because of what our grandmothers did for us.
Right,
Our
right, right,
grandmothers
right.
gave us this, and
Yeah.
that's why we feel this way.
Hmm.
So I cherish that. I ain't gonna, deny it. I'm not gonna make any excuses for it. This is what my grandmother gave to me, and this is how I want to be in my grandchild's life, or
Right,
and my future grandchildren.
right.
Since I know that they all both of my kids said they're gonna be kids. So let there be kids. Let there be
Let there
kids.
be kids.
Let there
Exactly.
be kids. So, but one of the things that I always, and my mother says it too, but she got it from her mother, and I hold this too. And this is funny. Both my mother and my grandmother have always said to me, and I always think about this: you'll never let no other woman come live up in your house with your man.
Oh yeah. Hmm.
I
Hmm.
don't care if it's your best friend, your sister. You don't let no other woman come live up in your house with your man. Because they may be your good friend. And things happen because people are human, but you'll
Right.
never let. And so that's just one of them, like, that's a crazy thing to think about, but it's true.
Yeah,
It's
that's the truth.
true. It's true. And I've just always, you can't come stay with me. Carla, I love you. You
Hey,
my girl.
listen, I'm not mad at you because I completely understand it because that's just the law of the land. Hell, if you
Right.
decent anyway, you would completely understand that. A
Yeah.
decent woman, a real woman gets that.
Right.
Yeah,
Right. Right.
I get it.
So yes. So that's my ultimate lesson from my grandmother. That's the ultimate lesson.
And dishes. What are some dishes that she prepared that no one else can prepare? And if you were to create those dishes again, what fond memories do you have when creating them?
Well, first of all, I can't because I don't have the skills or the ability
All
to
right,
do what my grandmother did.
all right.
And trust me, I'm not a chef like Chef Jess because I know everything that you said and done. I would love to sit at your
Yeah,
table.
no, Jess can throw down.
Right. I know I
Jess
would
can
love to
throw
sit at that
down.
table. And I would
Yeah,
be
Jess
like
can throw
this.
down.
I don't care what you cook. Just give me a plate. I just
Yeah, yeah, Jess can throw down. That
That's
I
all
that
I
I
care
know.
about. That's all
Hmm.
I care. Just give me a plate. But no, I said I can cook. I'm a really good cook.
Yeah, you are.
But grandmama, the biscuits, and
Yeah.
then, like I said before, there's a difference between biscuits and rolls. Her rolls were phenomenal. I got the rolls, honey. Hands down. You're not coming at me with no rolls. I got the rolls. But them biscuits, oh, never. I have never been able to duplicate. My mom says my biscuits are good, but my mother makes really good biscuits too. Don't and here's the funny thing about this, Carla, and because my mother. My mother did not take on those characteristics of my grandmother when it came to cooking. My mother can cook, but she
Yeah,
didn't
she
take
don't burn
that.
it down. She don't burn it down the way your grandmother
No,
used to
she
burn it
didn't
down.
take that. And
Mm.
I've asked my mother about that over the years. Why weren't you in the kitchen like that? Because I always stayed in the kitchen with my grandmother, always. And my mother was like, she was never interested in that. She was just never interested in that. Because when her and my father got married, my mother couldn't cook. Can you believe
Wow.
that?
No, no, I never knew that. I never knew that. I never
She
knew
could
that.
not cook.
Wow. No, I never knew that. 'Cause
Right.
your
Isn't that
grandmother is
crazy?
serious. Yeah, your grandmother. But you were in the kitchen a lot. We were always in the kitchen with her because either she
Right.
had picked beans, she was canning stuff, she was
Right.
making stuff. She always had this cake that everybody could go to her house and she always had food. So she was
Right.
always in the kitchen doing something because that's where we would hang out with her at.
Right. Right. It's weird, but no, my mother
I
could
didn't know your
not
mother did.
cook.
I did know that.
She could not cook when they got married. She could
Wow.
not, which is crazy. And my mother said, I just wasn't interested in that. I was
So who was
her
cooking?
brothers can cook,
Was your
but
daddy
she
cooking?
could. Huh?
Was your daddy cooking?
Yeah, my dad could cook, but she did a lot of things trial and error, you
Oh,
know.
okay.
Because but my mother, the things is she will tell you the things that I cook and how I cook. My mother doesn't cook anything like that.
No,
Now my mother can bake like her sweet potato pies, hands down. Y'all ain't touching that, and I don't even eat sweet potato pies.
right.
But hands down, you're not gonna touch my mother's sweet potato pie. I can tell. I can assure you, there's not one on this earth that's gonna touch my mother's sweet potato pie.
Wow.
I can
And
assure.
I didn't even know your mother baked. I thought she
Yeah,
cooked.
she
I
does
didn't know
bake.
that she baked. Oh, see there. I
Oh
didn't know
no,
that.
no, she bakes. She definitely bakes. But I'm the one who took the baking from her. Like
Okay.
I bake, and I wish I could bake more because I really enjoy baking. I love baking, but I don't have anybody to really enjoy
Oh,
it.
Dr. Bennett, you are definitely my spirit sister. You are definitely ringing
So
it in.
right. I don't, because my husband doesn't eat sweets like that. So, and it's probably good because we probably big as a house if I did bake, as much as I love baking, as much as I love to bake. Because it don't take nothing for me to get up. I do make, and how I'm getting off. Let me hurry up and finish this. My thing is, I do blueberry muffins and I make them from scratch with
Oh, I
fresh blueberries.
love blueberry
And so
muffins.
when my mother is here, when my parents are here in town, that's the first thing my mother say, "You gonna make them blueberry muffins
Oh,
again?" And I'm like, "If you want, let me go get." I said, "Because I have to have fresh blueberries when I make them. I make them from scratch, and that's nothing for me to get up in the
see,
morning.
I love
I
that.
made
I
them
don't
before I
bake.
went to work. Just get up in the morning and make some blueberry muffins so that I
Wow.
can have something to take to work. That's nothing for me. That because I do enjoy that. I enjoy that
Right.
probably more than anything. So I can't wait for my grandbaby. So
Oh my God. I didn't even when I tell you I didn't know that your mom didn't know how to cook, that blows my mind because
it
her
doesn't it?
mother would throw down. Your grandmother could take anything and make a meal. She could
Yes,
take whatever she had in that house, but she had two deep freezers.
I
I know
know.
she had your grandmother had two deep freezers. I know that
And a
for a fact.
garden. And a
Yeah,
garden.
yeah. I know
A
that for a
big
fact
garden.
because I know that I used to go to the house and remember Yolanda, she had it was almost like a I don't know. It's like a couch, but it would swing
Oh, the
back
swing
and
in the
forth.
kitchen?
Yes, and that was next to the deep freezer. That
Yes,
was next to the
yes,
deep freezer. Now
it
that's
was.
crazy, right? That I know your grandmama's house like that. That was
Right.
next to the deep freezer, and I remember when she would be cooking, I was always in that deep freezer, hanging over the deep freezer because she had
Yep.
ice cream and she always had cake and popsicles. I
Yep.
remember
Yep.
that. Wow.
I took many a naps on that swing.
Yes.
I had told my mom, because I told you, the house had burned down after
Yeah.
when my grandparents they left the house.
Yeah.
And I told my mother, I said, I cannot believe that you did not get that swing out of that house. And my mother was like, girl, that swing was probably rusted. And I said, I would have restored it.
Yeah.
I would
It
have
was right next to the
restored.
deep freezer. It was right.
Yes.
So when you went through your grandmother's front door, there was a
Mhm.
hallway.
Yep.
Then there was a small hallway. Then it was the entrance, and it's the living room. Because I'm in that room. I'm in her
Yes,
house right
me
now. It
too.
was the
Yes.
living room. When
Yes.
you go, once you get to the end of the living room, you could make a right, and those were bedrooms, or
Yep.
you can keep going straight, and you would
And
walk
that was
into
the
her kitchen.
kitchen. And
Now,
that
how
was the
crazy
kitchen.
is that? How
I
crazy is that,
know. I
Yolanda?
know. I
Mm.
know. I know.
Wow.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Remember the cabinets were all in the back of the wall, the glass cabinets.
Mhm.
She had those full. And then in the bottom, my grandmother canned a lot. And so
Always
she
talking
made
about food. Always talking about
right.
something to do
She
with
made
food.
fresh preserves.
Yeah.
She did all of her canning.
Yeah.
You could her cha-cha was like
Oh, yeah,
everything
yeah,
to
yeah.
everybody.
Mhm, mhm.
Um,
Do
you
you
know,
make cha-cha? Do you
I
make
do
cha-cha?
I do not make cha-cha. My mother-in-law does make cha-cha because she's from Georgia. And I failed to say this. My grandmother and grandparents, both my grandparents born and raised in Georgia. Um, and so was my mother-in-law. So my mother-in-law does make it. I've had hers. It doesn't taste like my grandmother's, but it's
Yeah.
good. So, but it's pepper sauce. That's the thing. But I haven't done that in years,
Yeah, neither have I. Neither have I.
years. So yeah, there's been many years. My husband doesn't eat a lot of that, which is funny because both of his parents are from the South. Both his parents are. My husband don't eat nothing like that. I'm like, you don't
Really?
miss out. You
Yeah,
missed
he
out.
did. Yeah, he missing. He
He,
playing games with himself.
he don't missed out.
If
Yes.
you were able to speak to your grandmom today, what would you say to her?
First of all, and I said this before, I would just introduce her to her grandchildren, her great grands, her great grands.
Hmm.
Because my grandmother passed away when my kids were still babies. And so they did not get the opportunity to, to be in her presence at all. And I remember, and this is still, and I hope I never lose this memory. She passed when my kids were, I think they were like 3 months old. I have twins, Chef Jess. And so I remember the last time I went over to my grandparents' house, they were 3 months old, and my grandmother was holding my kids. And the way she was holding them, was just like, oh my God. Oh, she was just, I mean, someone took a picture. I remember us taking pictures. I just don't remember where the picture went, and I can't remember who took the picture, if it was my husband, if it was somebody else who had taken that picture. But I would love to have that picture of my grandmother holding my children, because she was just, and that was in her later years when the Alzheimer's had started, kind of setting in. But when I walked in that door, she told my husband, my sweet child is home. So
Wow.
she knew enough. I'm just gonna say, I
She
ain't saying
knew.
I'm the favorite, but she
Yeah.
knew.
Wow.
That, but
She knew. So right. So I would just thank her for being my grandmother. I would thank her for everything that she gave us as our grandmother,
Yeah.
and just being able to just, really enjoy her. I mean, we enjoyed her. And and that's what I want for my grandchild. I just want her to enjoy me, which my grandbaby, she let me know. She did this, Chef Jess, when I was on, because we did a duo. She did this. I said, right.
Oh my God. Right. Because she's still a baby baby. She's a baby baby.
She's a year old. Yes.
She's
She
little.
did
She's
that when
little.
I said, hey, Nana baby. She said,
Dr.
no.
Bennett, girl, you got that grandmama glow. I see it, girl. I
She got
see it.
that. She got
I
that
see it.
grandmama glow.
Yes,
Hmm.
I see it. I know it. I'm familiar. Yes.
Yeah. So yes, Carla. So that's why. Yes.
See.
Those were fond memories. For real.
Yes.
For real.
True.
Jess, please introduce yourself to our viewers, and then I'm going to let you take it away.
Okay, my name is Jessica Davis, aka Chef Jess. I love food. I definitely get that from my matriarch, but I'm a United States Army veteran. I say that because I really earned that. I think about it now. I used to like play it down, but I earned that. So
All right.
yes,
We
and
we
then
salute you. We
Right.
salute
And
you.
thank you for
thank
us. And
you,
thank you for your service.
Yeah, we
thank
salute
you.
you.
You're
Absolutely.
welcome. And then I'm a mother of four. And I say that I always say it with apprehension. The reason why I say that is because I actually birthed five children, but my son died a crib death in 93. He was born in 93, died in 93. And I miss him so much, it took me a lot to even be able to talk about him. But I have a picture. I finally put a picture of him up in my house. I was just devastated. He was 3 months, going on 4 months old, and he just didn't wake up from his
Oh
nap.
wow.
So I really do have five children. I just don't like the awkwardness of having to explain where or who he is every time I say I have five. And they're like, I only seen four kids. So anyway, but I love him just the same. So the
We
funny
thank you for sharing. We thank you for sharing that.
Hmm.
thank you. And I'm glad I'm strong enough to do that now because I used to be like, oh yeah. So I'm not
Amen.
much
Amen.
anymore. God for his peace. And then, but I have four kids here that the God is still letting me thrive, letting them thrive and stuff. But girl, I got two grandbabies. But there's always something to be said with when sometimes when boys have a child, you have to nurture that relationship with the mother differently because she does have a mother that she's probably close to.
Right.
So, and then if they don't work out, if the same way, it's drama. But that oldest grandbaby, that 5-year-old, my Dejan, my papa, he calls me my house. My house.
Oh,
So
okay.
yes, he calls me my house because all the kids say, "You want to go see Ma? You want to see?" They call, And he was like, "Yeah." So now he knows that I'm his grandma. I guess he knows I'm his mom's mom, but he calls me my house. And so since he calls me that, he's pinned it. He's coined it now. I never wanted to change. So and he knows he has another grandmother. And I love her. Oh, Doctor know what I'm saying. But I might be lead grandma since she ain't on here. So anyway, that baby is my heart. And the reason why I can appreciate him like that, I know it's from my matriarch, Lucille Penn Frisbee. And I'm going to give her that since she was married. I'm going to add that Frisbee on there for you, even though she won't be buried with that man. I'm going to go ahead and add that Frisbee on there. But Lucille Penn, in fact, we celebrated my mother's 70th birthday, which I love my mother dearly. And we got this book. See how thick it is? Mm-hmm. This is my grandmother's 5 generation of the Henry Penn family, and they just gave us one. And it was in a box. They had extra ones from a family reunion in 2012. And so I got it. And then my grandma and all of us, and I'm actually in this book. I never had it. I didn't even go to this family reunion, but I'm in this book. Nice. And my grandmother didn't go because she was, at the time, she was 79, I think, or just turned 80. Was just turned 80 when they had this one. And dementia was starting to set in a little bit, and she wasn't as mobile as she'd like to be. And my grandmother was a strong woman. But boy, when I tell you she could cook, to this day, I just now start eating lima beans, but she's called her diet food. And she baked some chicken and she stew it in these lima bean stuff. I don't know what she did. I still can't make it. And I'm a chef. I still can't make it taste like hers, but it's the most amazing thing. And she just loved her some Jessie. She called me her Coco, and I'm named after my grandfather. And she loved her some Coco. She loved her some Jessica. So, and my favorite fruit used to be apples. I still love apples. I try to eat one every day. Or a couple, but you give me a pink gala apple, girl. I heard somebody bag it in. But I love apple pie, and I don't eat sweet potato pie either. I really don't. Like, I make them. I'm a chef, and people love them, but I'm not. I'm really good at watching people eat. I love to see people happy, edified. That's my gift. That's my ministry, and that was my grandmother's. So my grandmother did 2 things that I'll never forget: her cooking, well, her love, of course. That's number 1. Her cooking. And do you know, I'm going to take y'all back and tell my age. I'm a 72 baby. I'm going to tell my age. My grandma, long before they had the automatic washers, my grandmother had the one with the ringer on it.
Yep.
And you run the clothes through to the water, come out the ringer, you grab the clothes on the side.
Wow. Yeah, that's real old school.
That's old school. My grandmother's was immaculate. She used to clean hers, but she used it every week. Mm-hmm. And she lined her clothes because she said, could nothing bleach your clothes like the sun. Her white sheet.
Right.
Like the sun. And she would get out there, and she had the resources and money to not have, and she ended up upgrading her washer and dryer. But it took her, I promise you, pregnant with my second child by the time she got the regular, and her washing machine had the stuff still on it. She still wanted to use the ringing one and line dry. And she was a nurse, and she would do that every week. She would line dry her. She had a lines out. Nobody else was using them. She still had hers up. And she had them cement in the ground, and she didn't tear hers down like everybody else did to make her yard like this oasis. She said, no, like my sheets and stuff to be. And she would go out there, and every time you went to bed in her house, it smelled like fresh linen sunshine. I can't explain it.
Right. I know what you mean. Because it's nothing like hanging your clothes outside.
Yes, she would hang all her clothes, but then white. She would hurry up and get the color so they wouldn't bleach.
Yeah, the white sheet.
And look. She was all that, and she would be cooking dinner, and it seemed like how this woman going. I can't imagine line drying some clothes and cooking and taking care of my man and the kids and my I can't imagine it. And she did it so gracefully. So this is worth repeating about my grandmother. Behind every great man is an uncelebrated, and I do mean this, an uncelebrated woman that has held him up and revered him and made sure that he stood 10 toes down and made sure even when he wavered, she didn't. And I love my grandmother for being that woman. And she taught me that. Now, she also taught me, you don't have to put up, you want to be buried with that man. She said, no, he didn't do me right. I want to go home to my mama and daddy. And my mother,
Oh,
everybody the dementia talking. I said, no, she for real. She said, Coco, if don't nobody else do it, you make sure that I get buried with my parents in the country in Martinsville, Virginia. I said, yes, ma'am. And that's where she's at. And I was the one that did the closing remarks, and I talked about her chicken. And my grandmother can't nobody to this day, including me, fry chicken like my grandmother. And I got the pan she fried it in. And my oldest cousin was telling me one day, we were just talking recently, and she said, it was like 3 months ago, and she said, ooh, she's the oldest. And she said, ooh, cousin, remember when grandma used to fry in that pan? I said, oh, you talking about the curved one? She said, yeah, the curved one. It almost had some extra char on the outside of it.
right.
I said, oh, and with the lid, don't have the hook on it no more. She said, yeah, you know what I'm talking about? I said, you talking about this one right here? I asked my grandmother for that before when she was like 72. She died at 80. I asked her, I said, when you go to glory and you meet your maker and you meet your God, when you do that, leave me that pan so I can fry chicken. She said, you want me to leave you the fork too? Because she used to do it. So my grandma, she had that long pitchfork with the little with two dots that hold it together.
Right,
She
right.
with the wood that looked like the fake wood. And she flipped it with the fork, and I could sit there and watch her for hours. Just doing stuff. She was so graceful. And she had this little red, like, sponge thing. It didn't have, some people used to put makeup on. It's old school, though. It's one of them red, like, it's kind of full of bracelet. But she used to get her, make sure when she would sweat or something, she would use it on her head and stuff and on her face. And she had the prettiest skin. And I used to be like, oh, my grandma, she that girl. And she's just as chocolate and beautiful as she wants to be. And she called me, and oddly, she called me Coco. But she was beautiful and beautiful and spirited like a warm cup of comfort and cocoa. That's my grandmother.
Nice.
And she called me her Coco. That woman will forever. And I laugh like her and everything. I get tickled by something. I can't even imitate it. I get tickled by something, and my mother will stop me and say, and my mother, like your mother, Doc, she didn't cook. She didn't take that from my grandmother.
Mm-hmm.
I got it from her. Not to say that the other members in our family can't cook, but I'm the one that everybody knows. Without going to school, I'm the one that everybody knows cooks. But I stayed under my grandparents. But that grandmother, that one, Lucy Penn Frisbee, oh, that's my baby. That hands down, that's lead grandmama right there. That's lead grandmama. That's lead grandmama right there. So she stopped. But my kids are her great grandkids, and she also got to see a few great greats and spend time with them.
Nice.
But nothing. My kids, I used to take them. We live in Atlanta, but we used to live in Columbus, Georgia. It's close to Fort Benning, Georgia. And I just love being in Georgia because I grew up in Alaska, and I was so sick of seeing other people. I wanted to see more. And so I moved my kids down here for that. They were born in Alaska, but I moved them down here for that very reason. And I remember driving them 12, 13, 14 hours up to Delaware through traffic on 95 and everything to make sure we see my grandmother at least 3 times a year.
Mm-hmm.
And when we pop up on her and surprise her, she'd be like, oh, she'd be so tickled. And you know what she do? Oh, I got some chicken. She know I love that fried chicken. And she fried me some chicken and stuff. And she said, baby, you want some lima beans or cabbage? I said, ooh, my grandma, make your cabbage. And she get that lard, like I told you earlier, out that Folgers or Maxwell house can. She go pull it out the cabinet. She put something in there.
I have a question for you. I got to stop you right there. Lard. What is the consistency? Because I don't cook with it. What is the difference between lard? I'm sorry. Every time I see you, I got to ask you about food. What is the difference between lard and shortening? Because I don't mess with lard.
Okay, so lard is just more fat, right? It actually is, even though both of them are fat. One is a vegetable-based fat, and it's processed to be that fat. Lard is just naturally render it, and it's lard. You don't have to do all that processing to it. It actually, consistency is still like shortening, just a little greasier, I'd say, because it's animal fat, so pig fat. So it's just a little greasier, but I ain't gonna lie to you, it's not popular to use lard.
Right.
Yeah, some of the best biscuits and gravy. It makes some.
My grandmother never used shortening. She always used lard.
And I'm about to say my grandmother was more into lard. So
my grandmother never used shortening.
And my grandmother lived to be 80, and and by that time she wasn't cooking for herself anymore. When she was cooking for herself, she was strong as an ox. But like I said, she was taking from my mother, which no diss there. I'm just saying my mother didn't cook like that. My mother has 2 dishes: chili. And with Kaiser rolls and butter, that's what she gonna make. And she also fry some pork chops. That's what my mother, them the 2 dishes she gonna make. So my grandmother was way more well-rounded and ate a lot of vegetables. She ate meat too, for sure.
Yeah.
Grandmother, it wasn't no McDonald's going on in her house. You had to ask that for my grandmother. You had to be like, Grandma, can you take us? And she used to say, I don't really like their burgers. How about we just go to Burger King?
Mm-hmm.
And my grandmother wouldn't hardly eat it. She might take a bite. She gonna go home and eat her diet food, them lima beans and chicken thighs and stuff and all that stuff, and just really cook some food and make some cornbread to go with them. Thank you, Grandma. I agree with. She lives in me. She is not gone anywhere. She lives in me. Mm-hmm. I laugh like her. People tell me I act just like her. I don't look as much like her, mostly because I look like my mom, which looks like her dad. So, but you could tell, but how I'm built and stuff, the essence of me is definitely her. Yeah, it's definitely her. And she was crazy about her she's crazy about some Jessica, her Coco. So, and I don't want to say I'm the favorite, like Dr. Pennant. I don't want to say that, but
it is what it is, right?
It is what it is.
A lot of time with her. I spent a lot of time with her, and she told me to be, and don't put up. She said, just because I did it, she said, you a woman in a different time. Yeah. And it's be liberated. So if a man not treating you right, you go and get out of there.
Yep.
You go and get out of there. You don't have to stay. And both of my grandmothers told me that. She said it's fashionable to be married to the same man. That's what society tells us. She said, but God didn't tell you to be miserable, not even for a man.
No.
And she let me know. So, and she said, I love your husband, but I love you more.
Amen. How about see there? How about that?
My grandmother said the same thing. She said the exact same thing.
I regard you more. And she said that you taking care of them grandbabies, and she used to encourage me. And you know how special it is for your grandma who's living on a fixed income or she retired to send your kids $5 in the car and say happy birthday. That's dope, even if she spelled their name wrong, because she allowed my grandma. That's my grandma. We went that 14 hours up, so you know it was 14 hours back. And my kids were tired of road trips. I said, look, I got 4 of y'all. I can't afford to fly us up there, but I'm going to see my grandmama. And you can bet on it. And even when my husband used to go up there, like his mom used to live across the Delaware Memorial Bridge in New Jersey, he knew to go over there and break bread and take care of my grandmother real quick and my mother living together. He knew better. Because if you say we're not even together anymore, but he still asked about my mother, and he know better. Like you gonna take care of Lucille Frisbee. That's what you gonna do. And
how about
that? How about that? And if you gonna love my grandmother, because that's and he said, "Ooh, your grandmama knows she can cook." So when she started declining, and you could tell she wasn't cooking like that anymore, it was my job to feed her like. And so she asked me, "Ooh, can you make some greens?" And my mother hates garlic, but they live together. She say, did you go ahead? I got some garlic powder in the back. Your mama don't know. Did you go ahead and put some in there? I said, yes, ma'am. And her garlic powder had a nerve, because she didn't use it all the time anymore. Had a nerve to be kind of compacted or whatever. Right. Don't worry about it. I went to the corn store, got me some more, cut up some fresh, minced the hell out of it, minced some fresh garlic. She said, ooh, these greens so good. She said, we ain't going to tell your mama garlic in it. She don't know how good it is for her. I said, that's what I'm talking about. But we just always had a secret. Everybody used to say that. If they wanted something special, they say Jessica, because they'd be like, Jess, go ask grandma, can we do this, this, and this? Go ask my mama, can we? And she would do it. If I asked, she would move heaven and earth to make sure I got it. So
I got a question for you, though. What do you have in your pantry today? What's in your pantry?
Let me see.
What's in your can you share? Because I always gotta when you on, I gotta go in your house with you. Show me what's in your pantry. What's in your pantry? What is in your pantry? I know this is off subject, but I love you.
And Carla, and she's excited to show you.
Honey, let me tell you something. You have to go to her website. You have to see the dishes. I met her through even online, social media, because that's what I do. I said, who is this that's cooking? I have to meet her. And that's how we started communicating. And now we're the best of friends. She can cook. You hear me? Yes. She can cook, Yolanda. She can cook.
Oh, I can
and my freezer has the nerve to be, I'm going grocery shopping tomorrow, believe it or not. But I still have, like, if I need to make some greens, I got my smoked meat in here. Yeah. I got what we just talked about, lima beans. You know, I got cut okra. I got some lima beans back here. A little ice cream. Just and a little coffee, some vegetables, and then I got chicken for today. It's going down. And then of course my basket, I have the nerve to have a little spaghetti squash I need to go ahead and use.
What about your pantry with your seasonings? What did you have?
Yes, so let me show you. So the seasons are ridiculous. So up here, I just have your basics, your pastas, your cake flour,
Yeah.
oats for oatmeal cookies and stuff that I don't eat. I don't eat oatmeal raisin cookies, but I make the bomb.
Ooh, I love oatmeal raisin
Yeah.
cookies.
I promise you, everybody around me does. But
I don't
my
really like
season,
it.
I have them in these bins. All these, so these are just my these are some of my shorter international seasonings.
Uh-huh.
And then I have some bacon stuff like arrowroot and all that stuff, cream of tartar and all
Yeah.
that stuff. In here I have
Yeah.
some pumpkin spice, just different stuff to make. And then down here I have even more, everything from ground ginger and sesame seeds to what fajita season, whatever. Oh, my jerk. And this is not all my seasons. Then I have my tote of condiments, Tabasco, red hot, mustard. Oh, of course, vanilla bean paste, Zatarans, Pro Boil, powdered sugar, brown sugar, all the even art. Look, in my pantry got some artichoke hearts. Gotta have it. I'm gonna be at Costco tomorrow, and then I have my everyday seasonings, which are in here.
Mm-hmm.
And they my everyday, from the granulated garlic, cayenne pepper, paprika, fresh dried thyme. What else do I have up here? Cumin, steak seasoning, oregano, all-purpose. I done used this so much and refilled it so much the label done came off. Pepper, and then I do. Y'all might not know this, but I love grinders, like pepper grinders and stuff. So salt and pepper grinders. So they're my. I have a real tall one right here.
Mm-hmm.
And then I just go down and I actually use them. And then I have my little salt dispenser for my kosher salt, my oil, and then I'm out of avocado oil, which means I got to go to the store.
Do you use the avocado oil for a lot for things?
Almost, that's why I'm out. Almost every time I get at that stove, I always have, these are the oils I keep: olive oil, extra virgin olive oil, because one olive oil it has more processing. It's not cold pressed. So the extra virgin olive oil, which was in the pantry as well, that's like salad dressings I make. If I want to put it in something, I don't really fry with that one. But a regular olive oil, not extra virgin, just light olive oil or whatever, that definitely has a better flash point. So it cooks at a higher point without breaking down. I use that one. Avocado has a really good flash point. You can actually saute and do a lot of stuff with avocado oil, and it's really smooth and it just works.
It's because you told me to get some. The last time I had you on, you had a bunch of oils. I have some. I love it. I love it.
And so if you don't have butter to scramble, and I'm a big butter person, that's one of the reasons I have to go to the store. I'm out of avocado oil, ran out, like drained about, and I'm out of butter, real butter, and I don't cook with margarine like that. So I really need to go to the store and bulk buy my butter. I don't have time to play around when I eat butter. And I didn't even show you on my deep freezer. I keep all kind of foolishness in there. I got the deep freezer. I even have one in storage because it won't fit in this place I'm in. Oh my goodness, it's ridiculous. But all those seasonings, and then I have plants outside. So I have basil, thyme, rosemary, mint, and I use those regularly. I'll go outside, clip some, and cook with those too. So I'm really into and I grow tomatoes, but my tomatoes I'm done now. So I grow tomatoes, peppers, cucumbers, radishes, and I don't even eat radishes like that, but they grow so well. But they're really good in if you pickle them and stuff, and they're really good with like fried chicken and stuff, believe it or not. So that's just my thing. And my grandmother, she didn't can as much as maybe y'all grandmothers did. She didn't can like that. Yeah. City girl. But she definitely had a meat slicer, sliced her own meats and stuff. Like she'll bake a turkey and then slice the meat to have the lunch meat, let it cool off, and then use her slicer to slice it up to make our sandwiches and stuff. Because in the Philadelphia area where she ended up working, she's from Virginia, but in that area is where she would be when she lived most of her life. So she definitely went to the corner store, and so our subs were like homemade. And my mother is really good at making a sub. And my grandmother,
a big deal from Philly, right? That's a big deal.
Yeah. My mother's from Philadelphia, yeah. So, and my granddaddy, both of them used to work for DuPont. My dad's dad and my mom. which is runs the show in that area. So
Jack, I just got a question in. Okay, so we need to bring you back on before the holiday. How do you make a dollar holla for this holiday season?
I
With the
can't.
cost of rising, with the food increasing in price, everything is rising. How do you create a meal for a family of four? I guess, well, this is what the person said, for less than $100. Now, you don't have the answer to right now.
You don't do it right now, but you please bring me back on because I will tell you, like every holiday, just a little snippet. Every holiday, my kids depend on me making oxtails, a pot of oxtails, so they can eat on that. Which that is not light eating, right? But they can eat on my rice cooker. I'll make some rice, make the oxtails like the night before, early that morning. They can eat on that while they're waiting for me to cook the food. Because I'm not making breakfast and stuff because I need that whole kitchen for what I got going on.
Oh.
I need that whole kitchen for what I got going on. So I need you not in there bothering me. So I let them have the oxtails and I put them in the crock pot to keep them warm. And then I have the rice cooker, which keeps my rice warm for up to 8 hours. It's usually gone by the time dinner happens. But I can't afford to do oxtails this year. At the same, I mean, they've almost doubled in price.
Yeah,
So,
it's crazy expensive.
oh, guess what I'm doing this year?
Hmm.
Girl, you know I'm going to get that roast. You know I'm going to get that sale roast, chop it up, and season it like the oxtails, girl, and stew it up like the oxtails in that brown sauce. You know I'm finna do it up, and then that's what they gonna have instead of oxtails. We gonna go ahead and do them chuck roasts or whatever, or the 7-bone-in roast that don't really have bones in it. We gonna go ahead and cut that up and cook it like it's oxtails, and then we gonna do that. I don't have time. As much as I love oxtails, I can make just about anything, any cut of beef taste like them oxtails. So that's what I'm doing, and that's gonna cut the cost. Instead of paying $50 for a
I wish
5-pound
I would live near you because I would be at your house with a plate all the time.
oh my
Right,
goodness.
right.
And that's before I'm done with dinner. But you know, and then lately, I have not been doing the whole turkey, even though that's one of those things that I tell people put their pride to the side. If people have more means and they giving out some food, don't you dare turn your nose up at a free turkey. You can make that work. So I done had, if I don't get a turkey or I don't go buy one or find a small one, because I usually will fry one, I will go get the turkey legs and the turkey thighs, because ain't nobody really checking for that. Everybody want the breast or whatever. Check for that. I go to the store and get those pieces, cook them up like you would roast a whole turkey. That is going faster than any whole turkey I've ever had. They literally, and I'm gonna post a picture of that. And sometimes I'll smother them, do some lemon pepper wings out the turkey wings. Stop playing with me. It goes down. I will bake them and then fry them real quick. Do a quick fry on them and then toss them in that lemon pepper butter.
I can't mess with you because I'm starving now. Oh my
But you
God.
know what? I like what she said in terms of the holidays, because people will talk about me because at Christmas I do Christmas. Y'all can have every other thing, every other holiday, but I'm going to do Christmas. And I can't stand for people coming in the kitchen because I have stuff to do.
You
And
have
so
something. You ain't got time to say, excuse me.
I don't. So what I do is I make things that they can have throughout the day. So it might be one year, my husband was like, what if we did some rib tips? I was like, well, if you want to get out there and do rib tips, you go ahead and do rib
But
tips.
your husband likes to grill, though. He's a grill
He
master.
loves to grill, yes. And so he did some rib tips. You know, I make my own barbecue sauce for that.
Right,
So
right.
we did we got them, I cut them up, we put them in my little bowl, make my little sauce or whatever. And so we had that. I had salad, I had chips, I did some sub sandwiches, put that out there. And I said, this is the kind, and we had some little dippy stuff. And I said, this is what you all gonna eat on all day. But I always start my Christmas with a Christmas breakfast, but it's always fancy because I'm my grandmother's child. It's got to be so some years I have done like a baked brie with the marmalade and sauce on there with nice fancy crackers. We always have mimosas or bellinis. One year I did the sausage gravy with the biscuits.
Yeah.
The skillet biscuit, I'll do that. I've also done we call them these crack muffins that I do because I told you I make muffins. So we do that. They're like an eggy type muffin. But I'll do those, and the kids, believe it or not, they're almost like a quiche, but they're not. They're still that muffin consistency.
Nice.
So we'll do that. There's always coffee, there's always tea, there's always a mimosa. And then I'll put together, some lunch. And then I don't want you talking to me.
Right.
I'm a,
Your obligation.
Right.
y'all have at it. Have at it. It gets put out, whatever y'all want. Everybody's good. I'm in the kitchen at that point on. I don't fool with nothing else. So I do understand. Christmas is my thing.
Yeah.
People want to help me. And my
Mm-mm.
sisters do come in and help. And all my sisters cook too. We all got our special dish. But usually at Christmas time, I have to control everything, with
Mm-hmm.
the exception of my mother's sweet potato pies, because she make those the night before.
Right.
And my daughter makes a pound cake, a butter pound cake. Now she got the recipe from me. I ain't gonna lie. I taught her how to make this butter pound cake. But baby, I put my pound cake down.
Really?
So funny you should say that. My oldest daughter, I have 3 girls, 1 son, right? He's the oldest. My oldest daughter always makes the peach cobbler and
Oh, I love that.
cobbler. Y'all, she done elevated the peach cobbler now it's mango and peach cobbler.
Mm.
Wow.
And then she make the homemade crust and grate the butter.
Oh, wow. That sounds good.
And then in the middle of it, she breaks that crust down and recrust it so going up so it has plenty of cooked crust.
Oh,
Yes,
my
that's the
God.
only way to eat it.
That
Now,
sounds delicious.
all of these things, now I've gotten a little break. And Christmas for me, speaking of a brie, my brother is a truck driver. He went to Wisconsin. Why he bring me a bunch of different cheeses? So in my I had some blueberry cheddar cheese.
Ooh.
You know,
Wow. That sounds incredible, Jess. Wow.
we loved it so much, and he brought me some dill cheese curds. And so I'm a ranch this batter I make with a ranch dipping sauce with fresh dill and stuff in it. Stop playing.
Wow.
That's I'm with you when you like some kind of charcuterie or whatever. And my mama is super extra. She definitely, my bonus mama, she definitely gonna make us go that extra mile with the mimosas and stuff like that. But yes, it's got to be fancy. It's got to be. And I do the quiche though on Easter. Easter, I always make quiche. So while they wait on dinner, I always have 2 or 3 quiches in there. A seafood one, a bacon and cheddar and spinach one, and then I always have a few quiches going. And they just, and another thing I do on Christmas though is spinach dip. I make a home-baked hot spinach dip and cut baguettes, and also have chips and make a pan of it and add a tray so they can eat.
That's so good because I love that too.
Yep, me too. That's why I said I'm coming with a plate. You ain't even got to have a plate for. I come with my plate.
I always tell her if I live near her, I would be at her house with a plate every day.
I was getting wild here. I literally on Tuesday of last week made a crab and shrimp spinach dip with a little artichoke. I made it up.
My God.
We dog that thing. It's only my daughter and I live here. My youngest daughter is 22. It's the only us 2 living here. You'd have thought we were so glad nobody popped up over on us. We were guilt-free, throw that thing up. And my grandson on Thursday, was he over here Thursday? Just stopping by with his mama. He was like, my house, you still have my Pop-Tarts? I said, oh, you ate them last time. I said, here's some cookies. So I always have some cookies made up, and I use the scoop and ball them out, put them on a tray, freeze them, and then put them on the Ziploc. So I make like 4 dozen at a time. When I make about 4 dozen. So I put a few of them in a cup, one of them solo cups, the red version of this one, the red plastic version of my metal one. Put them in there and put some saran wrap real regular with it. Put some saran wrap, told him take it home. He took it home. I said, also, did you bake them cookies? She said, girl, you know he made me bake them cookies. He was supposed to be. I said, put that oven on. It's oatmeal raisin ones this time. Put that oven on 350. Put them on the rack. Bake them as many as he want, and then give him some so he can have them as snacks. And he was like, "Thank you, my house." I said, "Oh." And he knows it. He goes in there, and gets my butter, and I have a few KitchenAids in the kitchen. And he literally goes over there with the butter, and he said, "My house, you need butter?" And I was like, "Papa, I just ran out of butter." And he was like, what you gonna put in the mixer?" So, and we got him a play mixer, and he be in his mama food trying to make him some real food with this little play mixer. They run off batteries.
That's your next cook.
He's gonna learn how to cook. He's gonna learn how to cook from you. Yeah.
My daughter has a 16 by 24 inch picture in her house when you first come in of me and him in our chef hats making some whipped cream, and she's a photographer, a videographer, and I'm wearing her for her animation. But she does all that, and that's why he's like that. So he has an apron at my house. So anytime we cook, his
Oh,
hanging up, and I have his hat upstairs, and we go ahead and get in that kitchen. But she has a big old picture of me and him giving each other a kiss, and we're both in our chef stuff. And he was 2
Right.
when she did
you're gonna
that.
teach him how to cook. You're gonna
That
teach him how
yeah.
to cook.
He
That
loves it. He loves it.
he's gonna take that from you.
Yeah,
Lee grandmama.
I'm just about
yeah.
to say that lead grandma
He's
girl.
gonna take that from you.
That
Listen,
lead
ladies, we need to wrap it up because
Okay.
we have been on for a while. I'm just gonna, share something about my family real quick, and then we'll wrap it up. So the matriarchs in my family, I would definitely say, are both of my grandmothers who are no longer here. So God bless their souls. However, I cannot not shout out my aunts, who
Mm,
some of them are no longer here. Also, I know we only just picked two, but there's tons of women who influenced me and helped shape me into the woman that I am. So I have to shout them all out. We don't have time to go through the names of people. But my grandmothers were amazing. They were regal and they were kind and they were soft spoken women, but they were gangster all at the same time. um, my family is all about serving the community. So if someone says, how do you pay to live on this universe? It would be through servicing others, is how I pay to live on the universe. And I get that solely
very
from my
important.
family. You could knock on my grandmother's door and
Miss
she would feed you.
Daniel.
Shout out
Miss
to Miss
Daniel.
Daniels, that girl. I
Yeah.
call them that girl. I call my grandmothers that girl
Yep.
because
Miss
they
Yes.
were.
Daniel.
You could knock on her door and she would feed you. If you needed money, she would give you money. If you needed clothes, she would give you clothes. She would give you the shirt off of her back. She really would. And I grew up watching that. And I was just amazed at how kind she was. Like, what does this mean? Like,
Blazer.
people are just coming here and telling you that they need to eat and you're feeding them. Like, what does this mean? Does everyone do this?
Mm-hmm.
And so not only, did I grow up seeing that from both sides, because my father's mother was also a gangster as well. She worked for the Board of Education, and she migrated from the South, didn't have a job at the time. She would just volunteer at the school, and then she became a permanent fixture in the school. And she was the bridge between the community and school. People would go to her because the kids didn't have clothes for school. She got them clothes, the kids clothes for school. They didn't have food in the house. She made sure she was able to get food for them. My grandmother would go to the drug dealers in the area and tell them, listen, I need money. I need money for funding, for school trips, for clothes, and for food. And my grandmother, my father's mother, was probably, I don't know, 5'3". I could put her in my purse. She was so little. Um, and they would give it to her. And that was the type of woman that she was. These women took care of their families. Their families meant everything to them. Where nowadays, people are more concerned about what type of car they drive and what type of shoes they wear, and if they have $1,000 bag on their shoulder. Back in the day, you took pride in how your children looked, what type
Absolutely.
of schools they went to, how you kept your home.
Mhm.
Those were the things that mattered the most to them. And I'm not saying that everyone lives like that. I'm not saying that everyone lives like that now, but it's been a shift in how we raise or what family looks like. There's definitely been a shift in that. Values. I was always taught never to allow my moral compass to sway.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Mhm.
regardless to whom I'm hanging out with and what type of foolishness that they're keeping up, in all of that, I'm supposed to know right from wrong.
Mm-hmm.
And no matter what, you do not influence people to allow you to do wrong when you know better. I always hear my grandmothers when I'm in some foolishness, and sometimes I want to get into foolishness, but I can always hear them say, "You know better than that. You wasn't raised like that. What are you doing? What are you
Mm-hmm.
doing?" And then I end up, then I can't do the foolishness because I just hear all this conversation and I can't do the foolishness. Um, I was also taught that if you slip, you slide, and it's okay. You may even fall, and that's okay too, but you get up and understand that nothing can break you. Nothing and no one can break you
Mhm.
because you come from a line of strong women.
Mhm.
Nothing can break you.
Mhm.
Nothing. Not a man, not a job, nothing.
Mhm.
You can slip, you can slide, you can fall, but nothing can break you. Never give anyone the satisfaction to think they've broken you because they have not. They have not. They have not. I had to write notes because, I could just go on and on and on. Um, I was also taught that it is okay to get angry, and I like to cuss. I do. I think I enjoy cursing more since I've gotten older than when I did when I was younger. However, you still conduct yourself like a lady,
Mhm.
and you always use your outside voice when you're outside.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So for those that don't understand that, we see a lot of these folks fighting in the street and you cussing out people in grocery stores and beauty supply shops and nail shops. And I get it because I get angry too. But there's still a way that you conduct yourself like a lady. I'm not going to be on the street fighting nobody. Absolutely not. Absolutely not. I'm not doing any of that
Mhm.
because I was always taught that's not very ladylike. I'm just
Mhm.
saying. I'm just saying. I'm just saying. I mean, I could go on and on and on. Foods. So it was always based around vegetables. I'm not a big meat eater now. I'm really not, because our meals were always based around vegetables. Um, they would cook. One of my favorite meals is hot water cornbread with fried corn and tomatoes. That's one of my favorites. Hot water cornbread. I have yet to have anyone make hot water cornbread like my grandmother. Nobody. I've not
Miss
had it
Daniel, from
since.
Miss
Yes,
Daniel.
ma'am. Yes,
Yeah.
ma'am. Hot water cornbread and fried corn and tomatoes. Used to pickle okra. Uh, used to
Yeah,
eat
that's portable.
cornbread from the day after with buttermilk. That was her thing. I didn't really, I ate it because she ate it because I did whatever she did. But that was also something that I liked. Oxtails, rice, cabbage. I mean, she could cook. I truly love breakfast food, and my grandmother had a bunch of gadgets. She always had a bunch of gadgets. And so I always hung out with her. I was always in the kitchen with her. However, like Yolanda said, and you said, she didn't really want me in the kitchen. It would make her nervous, and I get it. So I would sit in the living room. And if you crossed the threshold, you would be in the kitchen. So I would sit in the living room, and she would always give me like boxes to wrap. And she taught me how to make blankets. I can make blankets by hand. She taught me how to crochet. I can still do. That's why I'm so artsy crafty because I get it from my grandmother. So wrapping boxes taught me, precision. Precision. Now, at the time, I didn't know that, but it was precision because in order to do this, you have to do it well. And I've gotten jobs when I was in college wrapping gifts for people. But it was a way for her to keep me busy. So I stayed the hell out of the kitchen, but I would watch her. So I cook very well. When I go back to the D, I am now the matriarch. I am now the matriarch of the family. I cook very well. Um, my father's mother, fantastic cook also. Anything. Like they could cook anything. My father had six, three sisters and three brothers. Huge family. Once again, if money was tight, you just had to make a dollar holla. And so I can't really say that there was ever a meal that I didn't enjoy because that was never the situation. Um, I mean, I could just go on and on, and I value them. I appreciate them. They taught me a lot. They taught me a whole hell of a lot. And to leave home at such an early age and to still be here after so many years. Many are called and few are chosen. They taught me that. And to whom much is given, much is required. And so
Mhm.
no matter where you go, I'm going to start to cry.
That's all right. You
Mhm.
gotta. That's
Yep.
look. That's how I better out again, baby. You gotta let that. Yes. Grandmother also told you you could be vulnerable. That's the one person you be
Yeah.
vulnerable with. He wouldn't judge you for it.
That's
Yes.
right.
So no
That's
matter
right.
where you go, you hold your head up high.
Yes.
And just know that you can do it. And so,
No,
two
Carla, that's
simple, two
it.
simple women, two
But
Yeah.
I'm gonna
simple
say
women.
this. I'm gonna say this. Her grandmother, Miss Daniel, like she had the experience of being around my grandmother because they lived down the street from each other,
That's
and and our mothers went to school together. Our mothers were best friends growing up, and
I knew that I
so
was
I
going to
spent a lot
I
of
said it.
time. We spent a lot of time together as kids, a whole lot of time together as children.
I love
Uh,
my grandmothers.
Right. And so, we are more like sisters than we are just friends because
Yep.
our mothers were always there and our
Yep.
grandmothers. And her grandmother, Miss Daniel, is probably one of the sweetest women
Yep.
that you could ever meet. And like Carla said, very, very soft spoken. But just when you walked into her house, you
Hmm.
knew she was going to love you
Yep.
yeah.
because that's just how she was. And there is never, ever a time. And the thing that was so beautiful about Miss Daniel
Yep.
is that she was always so proud of you,
Yeah.
and she showed that.
Yep.
I
Oh,
remember coming back to visit her when I
yep.
came back from college my first year, coming back, going down there because I would always go and
Yep.
visit her grandmother and her mother, always, every time. Go back,
Mhm.
see my grandmother, walk down the street to her mother, her grandmother, and I always go there. And she was just always so proud. She
Yep.
was just so proud to
Yep.
see, how we were growing up and what was going on.
Yep.
And don't let her not talk about her Aunt Edie.
Oh,
Please don't let, because Edie was my girl.
oh,
Edie was my girl.
yeah.
So,
And she was very close to Yolanda's grandmother.
yes,
Very, very, very close. And so
yes,
my Aunt Edie just passed away. So shout
yes,
out to my Aunt Edie. Recently she
yes.
passed
And
away.
that'll
Shout out
make
to
me
my
cry. That'll make me cry. What
yeah.
I eat. But Edie was real with us as kids and as teenagers. She didn't let us get away with nothing. So she been there, done that. She let you know.
Yeah.
Right.
She lets you know. But I just want to say Carla came from a beautiful family. And
Amen.
as you could see,
Amen.
her
Amen.
spirit. It is
Amen.
all in her. When I see her, when I hear her talk, I
Yep.
hear her grandmother. It
Yep.
is just that is what
Yep.
her grandmother was right there. That's Miss Daniel right there. And so
Oh God.
that's gonna make me cry too, because that's what you're looking at right there. So if she
Yeah.
wants to pay homage, you pay homage to Miss Daniels because that's
Yeah.
Miss Daniel
Yeah.
right.
It's your grandmama. That's that girl. That
That's
girl.
right. That's
Yeah.
right. That's
Yeah.
right. So yeah,
You pay
She
that.
beautiful.
was. She
Just
was that girl.
beautiful
She
woman.
was. She
Beautiful
was.
woman.
She was that girl. She was beautiful. Both of
Yeah.
them were beautiful. My grandmother, they fur coats and jewelry. Let me tell you something.
Yes.
I went to a bar mitzvah, and this woman said to me, I had on one of my grandmother's rings, and this lady walked up to me and she said, "Where did you get that ring from?" I said, "Excuse me." She said, "Where'd you get the ring from?" I said, "It's one of my grandmother's rings." She said, "Why do you have it on?" I said, "What are you talking about? It's one of my grandmother's rings." She said, "They made a limited edition of that ring, and your grandmother must have been very fancy." I said, "Yes, she was.
Come on
She was
now.
all of that. She was all of that. Yes, she was." She said, "Wow. Yes, she was. She was all of that. She was all of that."
I have
So
some of my grandmother's heels upstairs. She
Mhm.
I,
gave me. I don't get to wear them all the time, but one pair I get compliments on. They look like almost like that tennis shoe pattern on the bottom, but they're Nine West heels. And me and my grandmother know we used to wear some Nine. When she was fancy with her little Nine West shoes, when Nine West was that. You know what I'm saying? All it was that. And you go into Dylan's and them, you get you some Nine West. Back in the day, that was somebody. So
it was, it
and
was, it was.
I still have those shoes. And like I said, I had that pan. It's right by my pantry actually that I fried that chicken in and then some other pork chops my cousin want. She ain't getting that pan though. I just want to put that out there. She ain't getting
So,
that pan.
you see what's interesting is when I look at these kids nowadays, some of the not all, not all, but when your grandmother is 10 years, 20 years age difference between the child that had the baby, there's something that's missing in this generation. I
Mhm.
think that not all, not all, but how I see them handle their grandparents. It is absolutely unbelievable. Unbelievable. Because if I could spend 2 hours with my grandmothers, I would give
Right.
anything.
Right.
Just to be able to capture their wisdom from the age that I'm at now,
Right.
to hold that for the rest of my life, because what they taught me when I was younger brought me this far. And I'm not saying it won't take me further, but just imagine now, since I'm able to really understand what they are saying at this age, just to spend 2 days to capture more of that wisdom to take me till I'm gone. I don't understand it. I just don't understand it. But we live in a different time. And I'm not saying all families are like that, because I know that they're not. But I have seen situations, and I just want to run up on a kid like, why are you talking to your grandmother like that? Who are you talking to? Who are you talking to? So I want to bring this to a close because I'm about to pass out. But I thank you ladies so much. I
Thank
thank you
you. I
ladies so
get to talk
much.
about my grandmother and hear about other
Yeah,
poignant dope women. I'm here for it. So I couldn't do nothing but get on here. And I'm just
I
glad I'm my
appreciate it.
soul just hearing this. I'm filled up. I'm ready to go in the kitchen and make stuff happen with grandma's recipe. I'm
All
ready.
right. See,
I'm
see,
ready. So
see.
I'm just blessed to know that there are we three women sitting here talking to each other, and the women we are is who our grandmothers and the women shaped us to be, and they would be so proud. I don't think it didn't fall deaf on us. We are carrying on. We are carrying on, and that's what they want us to do. And as much as the missing of them and the wisdom that they had and the food, just their sheer essence, it's carried on through us. So when you aspire to be as dope as your grandma, even a smidgen of what she was,
Amen. Amen.
Right.
I think that was well said. I think that was well said.
I can close with that one. I can close
Yeah.
with that.
Amen. So I thank you ladies for showing up and showing out. And we will see each other again. Jess, have to bring you back. How to make $1 holla for the holidays. How do you feed 4 people on a budget of $100? How do you
don't get
do
me
it?
started because I might cook something. I might do a little mini dinner. Don't play with me.
All
You know
right.
my
I know how you do. You quick to grab a pan and make it happen. So ladies, listen, I love you.
be good.
You guys, everybody have a blessed week.
Y'all
Bye.
too.
Bye-bye.
Be good.